Have you ever reached that state of deep peace you always sought and, paradoxically, felt emptier than ever? That moment when, after years of meditation, therapy, and self-discovery, you finally find inner serenity, but along with it comes an overwhelming apathy that sucks away all your motivation to live? If you're watching this video, you probably know this disturbing sensation. The peace you so desired, transformed into an invisible prison, where the absence of emotional turbulence didn't bring joy, but rather an existential void that seems to drain all the color from your life. I lived this firsthand. I spent 5 years on an intense journey of self-discovery, exploring everything from Buddhist meditation to holistic therapies, desperately seeking that inner peace all the gurus promised. And when I finally found it, when I finally managed to silence the mental chaos that had tormented me for decades, I discovered something no one had told me. Absolute peace can be as paralyzing as constant suffering. This video will unravel this disturbing paradox that millions of spiritual seekers face in silence, revealing why misunderstood inner peace can become an existential trap, and how to transform this experience into a gateway to a truly meaningful life. The search for inner peace in our modern society has become a collective obsession. Millions of people invest fortunes in retreats, mindfulness courses, alternative therapies, and spiritual practices, all promising the same result: that state of perfect serenity where there's no more anxiety, anger, or emotional turbulence. Spiritual marketing has sold us the idea that peace is a final destination, a permanent state of well-being where we'll finally be happy. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. This commercialized version of inner peace is a dangerous illusion that can leave us more disconnected from life than we ever imagined. True peace isn't the absence of emotions. It's the ability to navigate through them with wisdom and balance. When we seek to completely eliminate emotional discomfort, we don't find enlightenment. We find existential anesthesia. It's as if we had taken an emotional sedative so potent that it not only eliminates pain, but also neutralizes our capacity to feel joy, passion, enthusiasm, and purpose. This pseudo-peace transforms us into passive observers of our own life, eternally calm, but profoundly disconnected from everything that makes the human experience vibrant and meaningful. The concept of detachment, fundamental in many spiritual traditions, has been drastically misinterpreted by modern Western spirituality. Healthy detachment should free us from suffering caused by excessive attachment to outcomes, allowing us to live with more lightness and acceptance. But what many practitioners develop is pathological detachment that disconnects them not only from suffering, but also from passion, deep love, dreams, and the very life force that propels us to create, grow, and contribute to the world. When you reach this state of extreme detachment, nothing seems important enough to justify the effort. Relationships become superficial interactions because you avoid the attachment of deep love. Professional projects lose meaning because you've detached from the illusion of success. Dreams and ambitions are abandoned because you see them as egoic desires that disturb your peace. The result is a life that, while technically peaceful, completely lacks direction, purpose, and vitality. You become an emotional ghost, physically present but energetically absent from everything that could make your existence rich and meaningful. This trap is particularly dangerous because it disguises itself as spiritual evolution. You believe you've reached a superior level of consciousness when, in reality, you've disconnected from the most essential aspects of human experience. Life becomes a distant observation, like watching a movie without sound. You see the images moving but no longer feel the emotion of the story. And when you try to share this experience with others, they can't understand how someone who found peace can feel so lost and without purpose. Forced serenity creates an invisible prison where you become a prisoner of your own tranquility. Imagine living in a city where it never rains, never snows, never has storms, just monotonous and predictable weather every day. No matter how ideal this might seem on paper, the total absence of weather variation would make life incredibly boring and lifeless. The same happens when we force our emotional landscape to remain in constant serenity. The negative emotions we try so hard to avoid are, in fact, essential catalysts for growth, creativity, and deep human connection. Anger propels us to fight for justice and change. Sadness connects us with our humanity and develops our compassion. Anxiety alerts us to challenges that require our attention. When we systematically suppress these emotions in the name of inner peace, we not only lose these vital functions, we also lose our capacity to feel authentic joy, because joy only exists in contrast with other emotional experiences. The person trapped in this forced serenity frequently reports feeling as if they're living behind glass, watching life happen without being able to truly connect with it. Relationships become superficial because you avoid the conflicts and intensities that create real intimacy. Work becomes mechanical because you've suppressed the passion that feeds excellence and innovation. Hobbies and interests lose their flavor because you've eliminated the enthusiasm that made these activities enjoyable. You conquer peace but lose life in the process. There's a little discussed phenomenon in the personal development community: addiction to emotional neutrality. Just as a person can become addicted to consciousness-altering substances, it's possible to develop a pathological dependence on neutral and safe emotional states. This addiction arises when the temporary relief of not feeling emotional pain becomes more important than the ability to feel joy, passion, and deep connection. The emotional neutrality addict develops a growing aversion to any emotional intensity, whether positive or negative. They become an expert in disconnection techniques, meditations that lead to dissociative states, mindfulness practices that become escape mechanisms, spiritual philosophies that justify their flight from life's intensity. Like any addiction, this behavior offers short-term relief but causes devastating long-term damage, slowly corroding their ability to live a full and meaningful life. The most insidious thing about this addiction is that it disguises itself as spiritual virtue. The person believes they're evolving spiritually when they're actually anesthetizing themselves emotionally. They develop a sophisticated vocabulary about detachment, presence, and acceptance, but use these concepts as weapons against their own vitality. Friends and family begin to notice that something has changed. The person seems more zen, but also more distant, less warmly present, less emotionally available. It's as if the light behind their eyes has dimmed, replaced by a calm that seems more dead than alive. There's a fine but crucial line between authentic peace and emotional paralysis disguised as spirituality. True peace is dynamic, vibrant, and engaged with life. It doesn't eliminate emotions but creates a stable interior space from which you can feel deeply without being dominated by feelings. It's like having a safe harbor in the midst of a storm. You can feel the force of winds and waves, but you possess a solid base that isn't shaken by temporary turbulence. Emotional paralysis, on the other hand, is static, disconnected, and reactive. It arises when you confuse emotional suppression with spiritual transcendence. In this state, you don't develop real emotional resilience. You simply build increasingly higher walls to avoid feeling anything intense. This may seem like peace to those observing from outside, and may even be felt as peace for short periods. But it's a fragile peace that requires constant maintenance and vigilance to be preserved. The person in emotional paralysis lives in constant fear that some situation or relationship might disturb their carefully constructed state of neutrality. They avoid deep conversations, intimate relationships, professional challenges, and any experience that might awaken intense emotions. Their life becomes increasingly restricted and controlled, not by conscious choice, but by necessity to maintain the illusion of tranquility. It's a life that, while superficially serene, lacks spontaneity, growth, and authentic connection with other human beings. Recognizing that you've fallen into the pseudo-peace trap is the first step toward reclaiming your emotional and existential vitality. This recognition can be initially disturbing because it means admitting that what you believe to be spiritual evolution may have actually been a sophisticated form of avoiding life. But this disturbance is healthy. It's the first sign that your life force is awakening again, that you're beginning to feel something beyond the anesthetized neutrality that became your default state. The way back to life isn't about abandoning everything you've learned about inner peace and mindfulness, but about recontextualizing these concepts within a more mature and balanced understanding. True peace isn't a state you achieve and maintain forever, but a quality of consciousness you cultivate that can coexist with the entire range of human emotional experience. It's the ability to feel anger without being consumed by it, to experience sadness without drowning in it, to feel joy without desperately clinging to it. Start by allowing yourself to feel small emotional discomforts, without immediately seeking techniques to eliminate them. If you're sad, allow yourself to be sad for a while. If you're anxious about some situation, explore that anxiety with curiosity instead of trying to dissolve it immediately through meditation or positive thinking. This doesn't mean being dominated by emotions, but rather developing a healthier and more courageous relationship with them. It's like learning to swim. You don't avoid water forever. You develop the necessary skills to navigate it with confidence. One of the first things you lose when you fall into the pseudo-peace trap is your connection to a clear and motivating life purpose. Extreme detachment makes everything seem equally unimportant, creating an existential relativism that paralyzes your ability to make meaningful choices and commit to projects that truly matter to you. Reconnecting with your purpose requires courage to care again, to invest emotionally in specific outcomes, even knowing this may bring discomfort and disappointment. Your purpose doesn't need to be grandiose or world-changing. It can be something simple like creating art that expresses your unique experience, building deep and authentic relationships, contributing to your local community, or mastering a skill that brings genuine satisfaction. The important thing is that it's something that awakens in you a sense of direction and energy, something worth the emotional risk of caring deeply. When you reconnect with your purpose, you automatically reconnect with your vitality, because purpose and life force are inseparable. Allow yourself to dream again, even if your dreams seem unspiritual or egoic to the part of you that got used to extreme detachment. Allow yourself to want specific things, work toward concrete goals, feel genuine enthusiasm for projects and possibilities. This isn't spiritual regression. It's healthy integration of spiritual wisdom with complete human experience. You can maintain valuable insights about impermanence and acceptance, while simultaneously fully engaging with the life that's before you. The journey through pseudo-peace and back to full life wasn't a mistake or wasted time. It was a profound educational experience that, when properly integrated, can become a source of extraordinary wisdom and compassion. You now intimately know both the dangers of excessive attachment and the risks of extreme detachment. This balanced perspective is rare and valuable, allowing you to navigate life with wisdom that few possess. Use your experience to help others who may be falling into the same trap. Many people in the spiritual community are silently struggling with this same paradox, feeling guilty for questioning whether their search for inner peace may have gone too far. Your journey through this experience and your return to vitality can be a beacon of hope for others who feel lost in emotional neutrality. Share your story, not as someone who failed spiritually, but as someone who fully explored both the light and shadow of spiritual seeking. Real wisdom emerges from the integration of seemingly opposite experiences. You now know what it's like to live with excessive emotional intensity, and what it's like to live with excessive emotional neutrality. This broad perspective allows you to find the unique balance point that works for you, a place where you can access serenity when necessary, but can also fully engage with the passions, relationships, and purposes that make life meaningful. The journey from pseudo-peace back to full life isn't a path you need to walk alone. If this video resonated with your experience, if you recognized your own journey in these words, know that thousands of other people are navigating this same complex territory between spirituality and human vitality. In the comments below, share your experience. Have you ever felt trapped in a serenity that seemed more dead than alive? How was your process of reconnecting with your passion and purpose? Or perhaps you're in the middle of this journey now and need encouragement or perspective. Your story could be exactly what someone needs to hear today to feel less alone in this experience. If this content was useful to you, help me reach other people who might need this message. Leave your like so the algorithm can show this video to those who need it most. And subscribe to the channel to follow more content about how to integrate spiritual wisdom with full and authentic life. Turn on notification bells because every week I bring new insights about the paradoxes of the self-discovery journey that are rarely discussed in mainstream personal development circles. Remember, you're not broken for questioning whether your inner peace went too far. You're awakening to a more mature and integrated version of spirituality, one that honors both your need for serenity and your need to live fully. Life is calling you back. Answer with courage.